everything's working. I'll just launch into a little intro, and then we can roll on with the potty. Hey, roll on with the potty. It's 2:36. I'll do my best to keep it to kind of the half-hour mark. We'll see what happens, because it could go anywhere.
Who knows?
Okay, awesome. Well, welcome back to the Coaches to the Moon podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very, very excited to be joined by a new friend of mine, Miriam. I'm going to say Castilla rather than Castilla.
Impressive.
Yep, thank you so much. Miriam is she's a money confidence coach. She's a manifesting mentor. She's a speaker. She's a best-selling author, but she also came from the corporate space where she was a finance professional and a petroleum engineer, I believe was the one I was missing there. Is that correct?
Correct. It's my very illustrious background.
I love it. A lot of notches on there, on your belt, on your corporate belt there. And hey, Miriam, I'm so happy to have you here today. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Lovely to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to have this chat with you. I think it's going to be fun.
Good. Well, hopefully I can make it a little better than my meandering intro there, but I realized that I hadn't confirmed how to pronounce your last name. Took a stab and got it, apparently.
Well, I actually say Castilla, but I just thought I'd give you props for knowing how it should be pronounced. Yeah. Well,
I am well versed in the Uruguayan culture, but I'm not really. I'm not. But do they speak Spanish in Uruguay?
They do speak Spanish in Uruguay. So my husband's Uruguayan, but if I really wanted to test you, I'd give you my maiden name, which is actually Greek, and it's 15 letters.
You told it to me on our last phone call.
It's Anagnostopoulos.
Oh, goodness
it's like Smith in Greek, really, but yeah.
No. My claim to fame is that I can say Galactiburica.
Galactiburico, yes. One of my favorite desserts. Well done.
Like an egg custard, isn't it?
What's that?
Like an egg custard?
It is. It's like custard, phyllo pastry, syrup on top. It is a slice of heaven.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, I very much look forward to getting some of that in me at next convenience. But Miriam, hey, thank you so much. As we said, you are a money confidence coach. You talk a lot about finances, and I'm really interested to speak to you because you have this great amalgamation between what we consider traditional finance advice and more, woo-woo finance advice, and some people might approach it, more, dare I say, spiritual, holistic, that sort of vibe, you know? And that's a really, really cool thing we love to talk about, because I think a lot of people will go down one path or the other. And so, for example, I've learned most of my money advice from more tangible sources, my dad, books, people I listen to, but I know a lot of my friends who are doing equally as well, if not better financially, are very much down the other path of things. And they subscribe to law of attraction, manifestation, abundance, and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So I grabbed this off your website. You said in your own words that your mission and vision is to show women, but we can talk to everyone today, how to leverage the power of their unconscious mind and the magic of the universe, and then combine that with everyday practical skills. My first question is, when people come to wanting to build their wealth and work on their money, what do they need to focus on first, the tangible or the intangible?
That is the $1 million question. Nice one. Well, I do bang on about you've got to marry the magical with the practical. You kind of have to do both. And I don't so much see it as, the chicken comes before the egg kind of thing. It's more a marrying the two worlds and actually having them support each other. So starting to become aware of your mindset, starting to recognize that, the way you feel and think and what you do all have an impact, and then just making little incremental notches of improvement that all support each other. Because as you build like your money confidence, because you start to work out how to actually take care of your money, that supports your money mindset. You start feeling like, hey, maybe I can do this and I don't really suck with money and it doesn't burn a hole in my pocket. And that raises your vibration and makes you magnetic to more. So, to me, it's a cycle where there's kind of three big puzzle pieces that all lock into each other like gears. and then they actually drive each other and build momentum. So the answer is neither. And, a little bit of both goes a long way towards making it easier to taking the next step in all those areas.
Yeah, 100%. That makes a lot of sense. I've got a mentor at the moment, and he says that his kind of formula for wealth building is 3 parts. One is business income, one is investments, and the other is mindset, all equal. And he has the stool analogy, that if you had a 3-legged stool and one of them wasn't there, it just wouldn't stand up very well. You'd be balancing and teetering. So both of them is really, really interesting. And where did you start when you were a financial advisor working in the space? Did you have any subscription to the manifestation mindset side of it, or were you full straighty 180 corporate down the line, meat and 2 veg, eyeing your trousers?
Meat and 2 veg. I was closet woo-woo, put it that way. So I was really into it, but it was like my personal thing. And, then I had the corporate image first, as an engineer, and I worked in corporate development. And then when I moved into finance, and it was all very, show me the numbers. What do they say? How do they work? But as I started working with my clients, I realized that I have a few kind of the laws of Miriam. And one of them is that more money doesn't change your money pattern. And I really saw that when I started working with people from all walks of life, all different levels of income. And it really made little difference to their confidence around money, or even how much money they actually had in the bank. Some of the people on the biggest incomes also had the biggest debt levels and the biggest money stress levels. So it was sort of in that space where I went, oh, maybe there's something more going on. I was already aware of law of attraction, but the mindset piece, which to me is that's my 3-legged stool, it's the money management, the money mindset, and the money manifesting. And that's when I realized that the mindset piece of the puzzle is really kind of the glue that holds it all together. You can be really great at managing your money. You can be really great at manifesting your money. But if you don't also have the mindset piece, and ideally all 3, then, it only goes so far. So it's kind of that's when I woke up to it and started helping my clients and really started bringing it all together. And then I launched a coaching business where I could freely and openly talk about that, rather than saying, hey, how I'm here to help you with your money. Can I talk to you about your mindset? Because I think you've got some issues. It wasn't always appropriate.
That's super interesting. So you got out of the corporate environment to be able to teach the things you really wanted to teach that weren't appropriate at the time.
Yeah, when you're in the finance world, I was already running my own business, but people come to you for a transaction. And they don't really come to you for coaching and so on. But my passion is really because my journey before that, I left my engineering career and then I went through a divorce. And that's when I had to learn all of this stuff, because I was basically doing the whole, hi, I'm a broke single mum thing, and had to get everything up and running again. And so my passion was still, helping women in particular, because I think women have some really specific hang-ups around money and having to serve and having to, put everybody else first and all that stuff that is still around in the programming, and building businesses, because businesses are really beautiful ways of self-expression, I think, and also self-actualization. It's, we get to birth this amazing thing and decide how we want to show up in the world and what difference we want to make. And you don't get to do that much in the corporate space. Normally it's here's your job, please do it. There's your paycheck, shut up, go home.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny that, entrepreneurship and business owning has become pretty, I guess, sexy over the last maybe 10, 15 years with the birth of Instagram and YouTube and, business influencers, that sort of thing. It's not sexy in the first place. Often there is a massive amount of financial stress at the beginning, and that continues and fluctuates throughout business. I don't think it ever ends, because more money, more problems, they say. Right? I know that's probably a mindset hang up we could talk about.
That's the more money doesn't change your pattern thing I was mentioning.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, but expenses increase, debts increase as revenue increases, that sort of thing. So, but at the very beginning, a lot of coaches and watching this podcast would be sort of solopreneurs, and maybe they don't have much of a budget to start up with. It's not the way it used to be where you go and get a business loan. It's kind of I'm going to go and start my coaching business now. So when it comes to investing in the business, a lot of people are pretty nervous about that. Without trying to get your services for free, what would you say to a young coach who is a little nervous to invest in potentially marketing, branding, upskilling, or software, for example?
Yeah, look, it's a really good question, because people will shoestring their business and think that, they have to do it all themselves and be really stressed about money. And that's why money mindset is so important, because you bring all of that to business and people don't even think about it to begin with. They start a business going, yeah, this is what I want to do. I don't want to work for the man anymore. And I want to do my thing. And then money, turns out to be a big part of a business, because ultimately you're there to make profit and to make a living. And so then it becomes this constant kind of nagging thing. And investing in your business is, to me, it's really critical. And you really need to look at that and go, okay, well, I'm investing all this time into building my business. What am I willing to invest financially? Because, time and money are kind of your two biggest resources. And if it takes you 5 years to actually build a profitable business where you go, okay, I'm nailing it now, or it takes you 1 year and a certain amount of investment because you've invested in some support and in the right people, and it means that you start turning over a decent profit 4 years sooner, and you don't risk giving up because you feel like you failed, just look at that. So seeing, coming to it with that attitude of, I'm going to invest in my business. I'm investing myself, my energy, my time, but also what am I willing to invest financially? And then making kind of, what helps me is making little agreements with myself. So for example, when I first hired an assistant, I was like, all right, I'm going to draw that out of my mortgage, and I'm going to draw out enough to pay her for 6 months. And in that 6 months, here's the goal I need to hit. So, you run your business like a business, and you go, okay, what's the investment? Why am I investing? Why is this the thing that I do need right now? Because you don't need all the things, straight away or at the same time. And what am I looking to get out of this? Like, what are the KPIs? How am I going to know if it's successful or not? And actually run your business like a business, even if your board meetings are just you.
Yeah, I think that's where, if you're going to pay for anything, I think having a mentor who can teach you how to run your business like a business is potentially one of the greatest things you can do. Because you would have seen this many, many times. A lot of people, especially in the coaching and service industry, are fantastic at what they do, whether that is, mindset coaching, fitness coaching, relationships, marketing, something creative. But then when it comes to, managing the money, managing the revenue, profits, and treating it like a business, that's where a lot of people get stuck and never really make it past that hamster wheel stage, which is probably, one big pillar of your stool of your three pieces. That'd be the money management side of it.
Yeah, you need to know how to manage your money, both personally and from a business point of view. And like, one of the biggest problem I see with entrepreneurs is that it's all in one bucket. They just chuck all their money together, and they don't even have a separate business account sometimes. And it's like, if you're watching this and you're running a business and you do not have a separate business account, go do that now. Like, pause the recording, log onto your banking and apply for a business account, because they're two separate financial entities, they're two separate legal entities, and energetically they're two separate entities. And you're not treating your business like a business if you're just throwing all your personal money into it and then sucking the life back out of it to pay your own bills. Like,
sorry, Miriam. Sorry, mate, what's up? Yeah, 17. Yeah, thanks, bro. Sorry, everyone. Cold delivery, and I was like trying to ignore him, and he's knocking on the window. I'm like, front door's right there, homie. You know, just walk an extra 2 meters. Anyhow, anyway, I'm really sorry, Miriam. I had a fella. Could you please just go back to when you were talking about, the reason why you need to start up a business bank account and treat your business money and personal money separately, even if you're a solopreneur?
Even if, and I would say especially if.
Especially, yeah.
And especially if, yeah. So your business is a separate legal entity. It's a separate financial entity, and it's a separate energetic entity, right? And when you actually separate your business finances, it's a big mindset. You're right. Do you need to like go and let him in or something? Don't you just love friends like that? It's like, man, you're really killing my vibe here.
He's killing your vibe, but he's delivering me food in the rain, you know.
Oh, look.
What can you do?
You can't. You can't say no to food.
He's bringing my baby's nappies and baby formula and all the stuff we need.
No, that's an important service.
So, Miriam, I've got a question for you. Why is it so important for
to separate your business finances from your personal finances?
Yeah, how'd you guess?
Let's have a go. So, separate entities, but something happens, right? When you separate your business money from your personal money and you actually put your big kid pants on. You go, okay, this is a business now, and the business has to pay its way. The business is going to have to pay some tax. And ideally, like I say to my students, you want to plan to pay shitloads of tax because it means you're making shitloads of profit, right? So plan for it from the beginning, like start acting as if you've got what it is you're setting out to create, and start putting the systems and the procedures and the habits in place now. So put tax money aside, decide how much of your gross turnover gets reinvested back into the business. Like, no business out there swallows up 90% of its gross turnover. That's not an effective business. So train your business from the beginning and train yourself to actually run numbers that work. And that's how you then start working out, well, how much money have I got to invest in marketing, in coaching, in mindset, in whatever it is I feel I need. So your business pays itself, like its own bills, it pays tax, and it pays you. And then that's your personal money.
Yeah.
And, there's a transaction, just like if you had a job, your business pays you. And so that helps you actually work out what your goals are, what figures you should be hitting, how much money you need. How much money do you actually need to make? Most people don't even know when they first start. And then they get their first tax bill and they go, ooh, shit, should have planned for that.
Yeah. We're learning that stuff. Slowly. I'm about 6 or 7 years into business, and now it's all good doing all this stuff. At the beginning, I was very guilty of all the stuff you're talking about, mixing and matching, freelancing, bit of this, bit of that. Here's my business card to pay the rent. Here's my personal card to pay for that. And whichever card's got the most money on at that time, that's what's paying for dinner. And it's a blurry line that more people need to know more about. So that's some very, very good tangible advice.
And, I just want to add one more thing. I think it's really good practice, if you can, to say, how much money am I investing into starting this business? Like when I had my finance business, it was a franchise. And I was really lucky because I didn't pay for it. They kind of offered me one. But, most other people were like, here's my 60 grand to get started. If you're buying a business, you usually have to put some money down. So if you can, invest in your business from the start, but then make a plan. Like, what's that money for? It's not just for you to live off while you scramble and try and figure it out as you go. There needs to be a bit of a plan with it.
Is there a point where it's too late to make a plan?
When you no longer have a business, I think. But as long as you're still ticking along, no, it's not too late. It's never too late to get your shit together. It's just about going, all right, well, where am I at? And that's really, really important. Like my signature program is called Magnetic Money. And one of the first things I get people to do, and there's a lot of resistance around this, but by the end they love it, is to actually track their expenses just for 30 days. Like, I'm not into micromanaging money. I'm into automating everything. But for 30 days, when you just track, you actually start seeing what's really going on. And then you can make decisions based on reality rather than on wishful thinking or like just hoping for the best. And it makes a huge difference when you set up your money system and you go, well, you know what? The reality is, this is where I'm at right now. This is what's happening. This is how much is coming in. This is what my expenses are. This is how much I need to live on. This is what my bills are. And it is what it is. And when you start from there, then you can go, okay, well, how do I get to the next step? Rather than going, oh, I wish I was here. Why don't I set up a money system that pretends I'm there and gets me to there? Well, that's not going to work, is it? So you have to, where you are, and that's the only place you can start.
Yeah, fair enough. The reason I asked was because there's all these books like The Barefoot Investor, for example, who will give you a story of a young lady who was, tens of thousands of dollars in debt, and then implemented the Barefoot Investor magical system, and then the next year bought a house, that kind of thing. Yeah. And it sounds a little bit far-fetched, but he wouldn't put it in the book if it wasn't true, hopefully. So when you're in, and we'll keep it to business, you're in business, you invested lots and lots of money in it, but you've got the mindset like me, you only fail when you give up.
Exactly.
You're saying that there's still a place for you to go. You just need to treat, instead of running away from your money, you need to pay more attention to it.
Totally. Like, if you're far down the track and you've made a big fat mess, well, you better get started cleaning it up. And, I'm glad you mentioned the Barefoot Investor. I actually really love Scott Pape. I think he's fantastic, and what he's doing for financially educating people and demystifying money is brilliant, because no one teaches us money stuff. Like you said, you learned from your dad. And that's amazing, because not a lot of people learn anything about money from their parents other than how to have hang-ups around it. So the great thing with Barefoot is, it's where Barefoot is great, like that system, is if you've got regular income, if you've got a job. But as an entrepreneur, we don't have a job. And then, there's things like Profit First, Mike McAllivitt's, again, great dude, hilarious. If you ever see him speak live, he's funny. He does like physical comedy on stage. And but his system, like, the problem for me with his system is it assumes that you always have the minimum income you need to cover everything and some to spare. And for most entrepreneurs, especially in the early stages, that's just not the case. So you've kind of got to, have a system that covers your personal and your financial and helps you start wherever you're at and move to the next level. Yeah,
it's very inconsistent in the early days. And then your baseline moves up, and then you can go above and below that, but your baseline is more consistent, and then that keeps growing. But your income, I don't think I've ever had the same income 2 months in a row in business.
No, doesn't happen.
No,
and
never.
That's why, like, you have to be so on top of it. A lot of people will go, oh, that's a bad income month, and then they're going to, obviously something has to miss out, maybe that doesn't get paid this month, or I don't put tax money aside, or whatever it is, or I cut back the hours on my VA or something. And then the next month they have a great month and they go, great, I'll go and invest in that course or that other thing, whatever. So one of the keys really is to have a system in place where you, as much as you can, smooth that cash flow.
Yeah.
And again, it's about tracking the surplus and the shortfall and balancing between the two as you go, so that, you kind of take those peaks and troughs and you use them to equalize each other out. And then it takes a whole lot of the stress out of it.
Yeah, that's great. So let's talk for the people who are, not in the stressful part and they've got a little bit of surplus hanging around. Can you explain to me your quote from your website that every dollar has a job to do?
Oh, I love that. You do your homework.
Yeah. I respect you for being here,
That's
I appreciate
cool.
your time.
That's awesome. Yeah, every dollar has a job to do. It's kind of one of my commandments. So speaking about, like, when people have a surplus, if you don't have a plan for your money, it kind of just tends to disappear. Ever notice that? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I had that great income month. Like I smashed my records. And then 2-3 months later, you're like, what happened? How come I didn't capitalize on that? So you need to make a plan up front and go, okay, well, what's my next? I always go, what's your next financial goal? Not what is your financial goal? Because, okay, $1 million cash in the bank, financial freedom, a beach house and this and that. Yeah, that's the ultimate goal. But what's your next financial goal? You talked about that example of Scott Pate. Maybe I've got a credit card that really needs to go, or maybe I really need to start investing in some investment vehicles, maybe it's crypto or shares, whatever, but I really want to smash that. So you have to kind of have one single focus, because it, creates this laser focus effect where things just gather momentum, like what you pay attention to grows and accelerates. So what's your number one focus? And then you make a plan. When I have surplus income, every dollar gets a job to do. So every dollar up to the baseline, I've met my expenses, all good. Those dollars all know what their job is, including having fun with you. We can talk about that later. And then you have to have a plan for the surplus. When I have surplus, where does it go? And it goes back to, well, what's my number one priority right now? So, for example, if you've decided you're going to smash your investment, your investments right now, and that's really your focus, then that's where it goes. Or if you've decided, no, I really want to just pay off my mortgage and be totally debt-free, then that's where it goes. So you have a plan and it goes to that single focus. And what that does is it really accelerates the process. Because otherwise you're kind of doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit over here. Oh, I might just splurge and go on that holiday, whatever. And then you feel like you have nothing left to show for it. So every dollar needs a job to do. Absolutely.
I love it. I feel like I want to keep talking about the things that I'm doing, but that's not what this is about. So I'll save that for a private session later on. But what's really interesting though is that I love crypto, and I've got a few NFTs and a few crypto domain names and all this kind of thing. It's so funny that when you said you might want to have an investment vehicle, crypto was the first thing you said, whereas a year ago, no one would have said crypto was the first thing they said. So it's a very exciting little journey.
Yeah, I actually do some coaching in a group where there's a lot of MLM people, and they're heavily into crypto. And we always talk about, if you traveled back in time to, when you first bought Ethereum, I think we bought some for like $1.60 or something, and
Nice.
now it's $4,000, right? But there was a point where it had gone up and then it tanked. And it's like, well, at that point in time, what do you do? Do you panic and sell? Do you hang in? It's all very well in hindsight. And yeah, now everybody who invested in crypto is going, God, I'm so smart. But a while ago, they didn't look so smart, did they?
No, but they would have said the same thing about Amazon,
Yeah.
What are you selling books on the internet for? There's bookstores for that. So it's just about picking the right thing and having that money confidence, like you said, to trust what you're doing, be abundant. I've got to get onto that abundance law of attraction thing in just a second, and I'll segue my way into it from tangible to intangible. And I'd love to know how you differentiate between people who are spending abundantly and people who are spending frivolously.
That's a really cool question. So every dollar gets a job to do, right? So if as part of your money system and your money plan, you say, this is how much is my fun money, or when I make surplus, I take 10% of that and I have fun with it. Are you spending frivolously, or are you sticking to the plan? Right? You're sticking to the plan. So the difference is it part of your plan? It's when you don't have a plan and you just go, wee, money, what can I buy with it? That's probably when you're getting yourself into trouble. But if you've got a plan and you go, wee, surplus money, awesome. You get to reach your financial goals faster and have more fun with your money. Like you get to have it all, and you'd get to have it without, the buyer's remorse and the hangover of, oh my God, what did I just do?
Yeah. We've all been there.
Yes, we have. We certainly have. I have many war stories for you. They say we teach best what we most need to learn. Yeah, that's me. I've got some beauties.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty proud to be wearing right now Kmart t-shirt, Kmart underpants, and a pair of old jeans that are cut off into shorts.
Sponsored by Kmart.
Yeah, I'm not fancy, and I think that I'm very lucky that I'm not fancy.
Yeah, you're not paying to wear someone else's logo. I like that.
No, I'm much more likely to invest in creating t-shirts with my own logo on them. But I've learned I've done a lot of silly shit over the last 7 years, if not the last 30 years, but silly money stuff over the last 7 years. That was a really interesting answer. Is it part of your plan? And creating an abundant plan and then spending within it is a very clever thing to do. Whereas just spending because you have it, potentially frivolous. Lovely little summary. I like that.
And probably part of a pattern that's, been going on for a while, usually for most people. So I have this thing called money habit archetypes, and there's really only 3, right? And we're usually trained into them from very young, and then we tend to carry them on through life. And so there's the spender, the person where it's like money in equals money out. There's the overextender, where it doesn't matter how much money you give them, they manage to go backwards. Like if they win 50 grand in cross lotto, they'll put a deposit on a Ferrari, and then there's the accumulator, which is the person that's always they're like the squirrel, they're always collecting. But the thing is, a lot of those people are driven by fear, and it's never enough. Like, I don't know if you've ever have you read The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks?
I'm not a very good reader. I'm a listener, but I'll put it on
that's right. Well, you can listen to it. Like my husband always goes, I'm reading this book. I'm there. No, you're not. You're listening to it on Audible. It's not the same, but anyway, yep. So you can listen to it. I'm sure it's on Audible, but it talks about upper limits, basically, in a nutshell. And he has a story in there of one of his clients who's a billionaire who would still argue with his wife because she would buy the expensive toilet paper.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like still not the best money mindset, and worth billions of dollars, still stressing and arguing about money with his wife. Like, to me, that's not the goal.
No, for sure.
Like, you want to be stress-free around money and know that you've got a plan and there's plenty of it flowing and you know what to do with it.
When I said before that I got a lot of my money advice from my dad, wasn't always necessarily the advice I needed. And it's funny because my dad was pretty successful in business, but I can remember him specifically saying to me that money is hard to make. Which has been an interesting one for me. So I completely resonate with that. And there's a bit of that, I think it's a different generation. People who came from, maybe not as much, and then maybe made it, they go into retention mode. Let's hold on to it because I don't want to go back to, how I grew up, that sort of thing. So that's a really, really interesting one. And it does kind of bring me on to, that whole abundance mindset, which is often driven by a knowledge of the law of attraction and accepting that that's a real thing. And, I've delved into it. I don't practice it enough. And, my opinion is still out there. But I talk about it a lot on the podcast with coaches. And you have a really, really interesting take on it. And I would love for you, if you could, because it's a really cool story, please explain your lobster analogy as for why the going to a restaurant and ordering lobster. I don't know if you know this story.
But sitting in the law of attraction, placing your order with the universe.
That's the one.
It's not always lobster. That's when they're going, shit, what's the lobster story? I've got you. I'm with you now. Yeah. Okay. I will try and make it short because sometimes I embellish and it gets really long for entertainment purposes. So most people so law of attraction is a really interesting thing. And I love the way you said, I don't really practice it. And it's like, mate, you're practicing it every day. You're just not doing it consciously, right? Okay. It's always on. It's always working. We're always manifesting. We're always creating life. Everything in your world, it existed as an idea or a thought. And then, hey, there's your microphone. There's the picture on your wall. There's your Kmart t-shirt. Like, you've manifested and drew things into your experience. And it's not like manifesting is like waving a magic wand and hey presto, it's like there it is. So that's interesting to note. like to begin with, because a lot of people will go, I'm now manifesting something. I'm like, you're manifesting everything else too. You're just not
love it.
thinking about it. So that's a little side one. So anyway, the lobster or the whatever you're ordering. So most people will go, okay, I'm going to manifest something. And so I use the analogy of when you go into a restaurant, you know, your job is to go in there, take your seat, look at the menu, decide what you want, and then the waiter takes your order and takes it back to the kitchen, and the kitchen has the ingredients, makes your meal, and eventually it comes out. So what most people do though, like instead, when it comes to law of attraction, is number one, they can't decide. And then they go, oh, this, that, oh, that might be asking for too much. Oh, maybe that's too much trouble. Oh, what if they don't have that? Oh, will that take too long? You know, like they can't even make up their mind on what they want. So they're constantly like hedging their bets, and they're going, oh, you know, I'd really love this, but I'll be all right with that if you like. And so if you did that in a restaurant, the waiter would be going, can you just please make up your mind? Because whatever you tell me, that's what we're going to make you. We're all set. Like, we have everything. You decide. Like, I'm not going to surprise you, although my brother does that with hairdressers. Surprise me. What kind of idiot? Anyway, so I really want to slip a hairdresser $100 and go shave it off. Anyway, back to the restaurant. So most people will go, okay, finally, I've decided I'm going to go for the lobster because I know I deserve it. You know, I know it's an abundant kitchen out there. They have plenty of lobster. I'm going to believe in the lobster, that it's possible, and I'm going to visualize it on my plate. Okay, I'm having the lobster. The waiter's halfway back to the kitchen. They go, oh, actually, hang on a minute. Maybe I'm not ready for the lobster, you know, because there are people starving in Africa, and it's not okay for me to want lobster, and I know it's a lot of trouble. And, you know, so that they do this game where they don't even let the waiter get to the kitchen. And then some of them like to actually go into the kitchen and like look over the chef's shoulder and go, you putting garlic in that? Have you got garlic? Did you order some today? Do you want me to run out and get you some? Like, they try and micromanage the universe, and they just constantly get in their own freaking way, rather than going, okay, what's my job? What's the universe's job? Your job is to make a decision, believe it's possible, and then just stay in your seat, which means you've got to vibrationally, meaning the way you feel abundant and deserving and know it's coming, and get on with things. You know, get on with what your job is. When you're sitting in the restaurant, your job is to enjoy that glass of wine and the conversation you're having. When you're running your business, your job is to, you know, go out, reach out to your clients, give them great service, keep showing up. Like, that's your job. You don't leave the restaurant and go, oh, yeah, no, I don't think it's going to happen anyway, and then wonder why you never got what you wanted. So, yeah, there you go.
Really good analogy.
That's as condensed as I can make it, because I have way too much fun with it.
That was very funny. I loved it. I loved it. And it makes a lot of sense. And you've absolutely called me out on the fact that I'm consistently manifesting without even realizing it. And people will continue to tell me that. Someone told me that this morning. I said, we go into business. We're launching a new program in February. And I said, you know, let's get X amount in. And she said, oh, it's already happened. You're just catching up with it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, like when you have a thought, an idea, or inspiration, like you've just manifested a thought. Do you realize that? So it's the very first step in taking something that's just like floating around in the ether as this energy wave of possibilities that exist, and you've actually connected with it and manifested and downloaded a thought. So that's the start of the process. It's really cool.
Now, does this, you know, consciously manifesting things, does this mean we need to be waking up every morning and going outside and saying 1,000 affirmations? Do we need to be carrying money around in our wallet, or do we need to just be making a plan and sticking to it?
I was going to tease you then and say it's not 1,000 affirmations, it's 1,021 on odd months. No, because see, most people get really caught up in what do I have to do? What do I have to do? And the thing is with manifesting, like, you have to accept that this is a vibrational universe. Everything is energy. Now, I'm originally an engineer, right? Mm-hmm. And when I teach, I bring in all the science. Like, we talk quantum physics, we talk neuroscience, we talk brain principles, all sorts of things. At the end of the day, we live in a field of infinite possibilities, and everything's just an energy wave. And these energy waves are kind of, you know, dropping into form, becoming solid objects. And the way that we interact with this field of possibilities is through our vibration, which is our state of being, our electromagnetic signature, right? So it's electrical thought energy and magnetic heart energy, and it's actually the relationship between the two that's quite important. So it's not what you do that matters, because the universe doesn't care whether you stand on your head gargling salt water and reciting affirmations, or whether you're sitting in your chair meditating, and it doesn't even hear what you say. It responds to how you feel. It responds to your vibrational output that you're putting out. So when you're putting out a vibration of abundance, law of resonance responds to that and goes, oh, we have a match, right? And so you attract abundance. So it's not what you do that matters, it's what you feel. And most people get really caught up in, I've got to tick everything on my list and like, okay, universe, where's my money? Because I did all those things I was supposed to do. But the whole time they were caught in fear. They were in doubt, in worry, in, not actually expecting it to happen, but hoping it will happen. And that's a really different thing.
Is that the kind of thing that's a whole 2.5 hour podcast to yeah. I feel like a lot.
We've only just scratched the surface, Alex. We need to do this again.
Well, we need to do it again, or people just need to come and if they're a female entrepreneur, come and talk to Miriam. Absolutely.
Come check out Magnetic Money. Come jump on my website and come and have a chat.
I'm sure they will. And especially when we take some of these clips, we throw them out there into the universe, and people will see this. I have learned so much in a 37-minute conversation so far, and I'd love to keep going, but we like to keep these short and sharp so people can get back to business, get back to their saltwater affirmations and sorting out
That's their right. Get back to gargling. Yeah, I think we've given them enough to spin their brains out for a while.
100%. It's such a massive road. And the reason I have this podcast seems to be to confuse people with differing views from, dozens of different coaches. But if someone resonates with one of them, then that's perfect. I've done my job. And you've really done your job by helping us out here today with some fantastic tangible, and it's all tangible advice, really, isn't it? When you think about it.
Yeah, totally. Well, yeah, because at the end of the day, it's like, how do you want to show up?
Yeah. I want to show up as my best self and be aligned with the truth of 1,000 possibilities.
And gargle salt water standing on my head.
Yeah. But I am going to go and make a plan as to what percentage of my monthly income can be reinvested, because I don't actually have that. I am guilty of, I will pay myself monthly and then it kind of just goes to whatever. But there's definitely something in there that could go, totally. Rather than say, oh, I've got some extra money here, boom, crypto. It's going to be, what's my crypto percentage?
Yeah, what's the plan? What's the plan right now?
Are you asking me actually?
No. As in, you need to ask yourself. You don't have to tell us what your plan is. You can if you want. But.
Oh, to be honest, I'd love to, get the business to a point where we don't have to worry ever, and with the investments I'm making now, and then go and live on a farm somewhere with my wife and 2 daughters.
Awesome.
Have a horse, have some zucchinis, have a pizza oven, that sort of thing. That'd be pretty
that sounds like a great freaking plan. Absolutely.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be a Lamborghini, doesn't have to be a Range Rover. It has to be a lot of land. Maybe some water, a little podcast studio, and a gym that costs more than $100.
Yeah, that's a very abundant life right there that you're manifesting, Alex.
It's on the way. It's already happened. I'm just catching up with it.
Exactly.
Miriam, Castilla, thank you so much for being here today. This has been really, really fun, really enlightening. And I appreciate you coming here on a very rainy, stormy day when your house is being renovated and we've all got a lot of shit going on in our lives, but you showed up, smiling and happy, and a really, really wonderful guest. Thank you so much.
My total pleasure. Thank you for having me.
No worries. And for everyone listening or watching, I'll be back in just a couple of days, actually, with another guest on Coaches to the Moon. But in the interim, thank you so much for watching. Much love